exercise through the Bible, and we're going to review what we did last week and add on, we're going to learn tread today. Tread is a transverse lunge, and we're going to start from no rotation and end up developing rotation, lengthening hip flexors and adductors. I like that there's no mat here. Then we can think of multiplanar. The whole realm of planes is available to us at the beach, and it's really good for your arches to do this exercise at the beach. This is my gym. Welcome. I hope you'll come to Refuge, California to the Gold Retreat, where I will be working out on the beach every morning. Remember, we're setting up at a diagonal to eliminate any rotation at first. If you haven't watched the previous videos, go back and watch those because we're moving on from there. So starting at the top of your mat, take a big deep breath. Inhale and exhale. She who dwells in the shelter of the Most High. Step back with your left foot. Keep your feet pointing at a diagonal. Hips are under shoulders. And add a C curve in the spine. Lifting the chest. Taking a big deep breath. Layer 1. A little farther back for layer 2. And all the way into a 90-degree angle in layer 3. In the layer 3, you would lay the torso down. In the layer 2, you would go down just to the point where it's still supported. And in layer 1, your short stance with a slight bend until we get those hamstrings stretched out. Come into a lunge. Layer 3s come down to the knee, to a Tim-Tebow. And let's start at the top again. Step back into your shelter. Now it's up to you. Do layer 1, 2, or 3. And let's work on coming down to that knee, coming back up to the top. One more time, come back into shelter of the Most High. Moving on to shadow of the Almighty. Weight in the forward foot, turn out. If you're in layer 1, your turnout will probably be shorter. If you're in layer 2, your turnout will be bigger. And if you're in layer 3, you're going to have a big turnout and a big step. It's up to you. Layer 1 is always supported. Layer 2, you can let go some of that support. And layer 3 is completely letting go, relying on these adductors and hip flexors, which are in full stretch, decelerating the fall. Open the chest. Let's try that on the other side. So layer 1, layer 1 has just a little turnout. Layer 2 has a bigger step, bigger turnout. Layer 3 has the biggest step of all and lots of turnout. Shadow of the Most High. Use your hands to come back, and we'll bend the other leg. Now remember, if you're in layer 1, you're a lot closer and your turnout is less. So you adjust it. We're going to go from shadow of the Most High to refuge and my fortress, which simply means you bend the other leg. Make sure this foot is still pointing same direction as the knee, this foot direction same as the knee. You're doing a chest lift. You can use both fists if you need to. Let me show you from the side. Switch it to the other side. So you're bent the other leg. 2 fists, chest lifted. You can add got an arm. Layer 3 has no support. Still lifting, not falling. Let's bend the other leg, go back to shadow of the Most High. Your level. And then into refuge and fortress. Stay right here. Let's go shadow of the Most High. Refuge and fortress. If you want to go really big, you can. Shadow of the Most High. Refuge and fortress. But the bigger you go, your adductors are going to be in more stretch. Other side, shadow of the Most High. Refuge and fortress. Next movement is God in whom I trust. We've already learned that. So layer 1, layer 2, or layer 3. That's the breakdown from hips upward. And in the feet, let's change legs. Layer 1 has less turnout, and it's shorter with a little bend. Layer 2 has more turnout with a bigger bend. And layer 3 has the most turnout, the most bend. To do this layer 3, you've got to have length in the adductors, hip flexors, and also length in the sling here of the gluteal complex. So let's go to refuge and fortress, and God in whom I trust. I'm going to repeat that. Inhale, refuge and fortress. Exhale, God in whom I trust. Stay right here on this side. Let's do shadow of the Most High. Refuge and fortress. Exhale. God in whom I trust. Inhale. Refuge and fortress. God in whom I trust. Bend this leg, pivot, do a Tim Tebow. Well, let's come up to this side of the mat and we'll learn tread. Okay, now we're going to learn tread on snakes and scorpions. I love this posture. One caution, this is a transverse lunge. In functional training, you might have personal trainers who teach you a transverse lunge. But if you'll notice, there needs to be hip rotation here, lengthen the hip flexors, and like we were saying, lengthen the gluteal complex. But not only flexibility, but strength in the full stretch. And that's what tread is all about. If you cannot do a transverse lunge without keeping this knee right here, then you need to go back to layer 1, working stability. Stability will have no turnout. We'll simply be doing a frontal lunge. If you want to do layer 2 and 3, then we're going to start working on hip opening into a transverse lunge. So I'm going to let you see my knees, because I want you to see my knees always point the same direction as my toe. So let's start where we left off. We left off in shelter, so let's go ahead, set up on a diagonal, step back into shelter. Then we did shadow of the Most High. Then we did refuge and fortress. Then God in whom I trust. We're going to start right from God in whom I trust because your legs should already be set up perfectly. But we're going to test them out. In trust. If you don't have length in your adductors, you're going to need to lift your toes and figure out where back down. Go to the other side. Lunge, lift the toes, and you have to keep that knee pointing directly towards the toes, and then put it back down. Now you should be in perfect turnout for you for tread. Layer 1, your feet will point straight. Layer 2, you'll have a little bit more of a turnout. Layer 3, you'll have the biggest turnout, but notice my knees go with my toes. See my toes? My knees, same direction. Why? Because hip opening, and also because of strength, turnout in the femur and the hip socket. So what we don't want is knees going this way and toes going another way. So take your proper turnout position and come into a lunge. And we're going to stick the hips back so the knee stays right over the ankle. Then we're going to drop the opposite shoulder to get more of a stretch in the inner thigh. Make sure this quad is activated to keep this knee pointing towards the toe. Then if you want to, you can add a little bit more hip flexion, a little bit more rotation, and layer 3, you're all the way down. Arms are in a diagonal, you're in a flexion here, and your back is straight. For layer 1, make sure you use the hands to come back up, slightly bend the knees. Now we'll do it on the other side. So check your rotation, make sure it's not too wide, you can tell by where the knees are pointing. And you're gonna set that hip back so that the full gluteal complex is having to hold the weight of your body in full stretch, and then add a rotation, opposite shoulder down. For more stretch in the adductors, lift the knee, abdominals are in, and add a little bit more rotation, and then layer 3 is even more. Now I set this up with the knee over the ankle, come up, and the hip over the ankle. If you want to really lengthen those adductors, you're going to have a bigger, wider stance, and the hip's kind of going to be hanging in midair. It won't be over that ankle. So go ahead and try tread in layer 3 only if you feel that your adductors are long enough and your hip complex is strong enough. Add rotation. Make sure the knee is lifted, strong quads, and add the twist. And this is tread, a transverse lunge, training in the ability to do a transverse lunge. Other side. Big stance, hip hanging in the middle of nowhere, requiring full stretch in the adductors, adding the rotation, lifting that knee, making sure knees still pointing same direction as toes, add the twist, and you have tread, layer 3. Let's go ahead and add that in now to the whole routine.